water, it will retain water. When it retains water, it is very easy to retain up to a gallon or more water in your body. It soaks it up like a sponge. Anybody know how much a gallon weighs?
4 kilos.
Okay, in pounds?
That's 8.8.
It's a little, yeah, it's about 9 pounds. About 9 pounds. Okay, so what if you're in a retention mode? You could be cycling, ladies, and that, I'm not talking about spin cycling, I'm talking about 30-day cycling. Guys cycle too, by the way. So you know, if guys, you thought you were alone in that, no, we cycle. Okay, so if you're just going through that mode, it's that time, or you just had a bad day the day before, you didn't drink enough water. Now this is what doesn't make sense to a lot of people. We'll talk about hydration more next week. If you don't drink enough, and you're a little bit dehydrated, the body tends to hold more water in. Did you know that? Kind of doesn't make sense. Thinks, well, I'm not drinking enough, so I'm not retaining enough. No, the body will go into a retention mode. You retain water. If you're retaining a gallon and you're trying to lose weight, maybe you've lost 2 or 3 pounds, then you hop on the scale and you're 6 pounds heavier. Like, what the heck? You're in quit mode at that point almost, right? No, none of you guys go there. You're too motivated. Okay, what did I think about? Your thoughts have a lot to do with what the scale says over a consistent period of time. We'll talk about that more and more and more because your thoughts are directly related to the cortisol production in your body. There's other things that will influence the cortisol. The cortisol is your stress hormone, and the more stress hormone, cortisol, that you have flowing through your body, the easier it is to retain water and to gain weight. It holds on, especially visceral fat, which is the dangerous fat around your organ tissues. Okay, moving along. Reminder. I'm going to pass this guy around one more time. If you would, please, when it comes to you, I want you to grab it. Just hold it up right by your face. And you'll know why in just a moment. Do you want me to start that? Just grab it, just hold it for a moment by your face and then pass it to the next person. There's a reason for that. What's being passed around is a dumbbell that weighs exactly 10 pounds. And a reminder from last workshop, normal weight in the cervical spine is 10 pounds, or 12 pounds, excuse me. That's the normal weight of most people's head, give or take a few grams. If for every inch that your head protrudes forward, adds an extra 10 pounds of strain to your neck muscles. How many people do you see walking around with like a great big forward neck? You know how many people I just saw straighten up? Everybody's sitting up tall, yeah. They don't want that extra 10 pounds. And that strain we talked about last week, that strain can constrict the phrenic nerve. The phrenic nerve helps control the diaphragm and the breathing. It limits the oxygen that is spread throughout the body. That can increase the acidity. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Just puts an extra strain on your neck, which causes lots of bad stuff. So, when you hold that 10-pound weight, just let that be a reminder for now and the rest of your life that I'm going to stand up tall. So what's the solution? Said it in the email, I don't know if you remember. It's get the chest up, get the chin in, and take some deep breaths. Simple enough, right? Chest up, chin in, deep breaths. Yeah? Got it? We're good. Moving on. Okay, here we go with the real stuff right now. Questions we want to cover tonight. One, how much protein should I eat? This is probably something I get asked all the time because there's so many different diets out there saying you need to eat this much and saying no, you don't need that much, and so we're going to address that. Do all carbs make me fat? Is it dangerous to skip meals? Or does it help me lose weight? Am I eating enough? Why do I keep gaining when I eat so little? That's probably the second most popular question that I have. Why do I keep gaining when I eat so little? Okay, food. Food. We're going to talk about food in 3 different ways. One, as energy. You want to back that up? Is that coming up there? Good. Food is a form of energy. Food is a fuel. Food is a nutrient. Food is, we're going to talk about food in respect to balance. It provides balance in the body. Those are the 3 ways we're going to talk about food. Food as an energy, food as a nutrient, food as balance. Okay, as energy. I'm going to whip through this fairly quick. If you don't grasp this, fully, that's okay. The concept's coming at the end. There are sources of fuel inside of your body, and we want to keep that source targeted toward what? Muscle, bone, or fat?
Fat.
Fat. Amen to that. I told you it was religion. Food is energy. Okay, when food comes in, you have a tank. Very rough design of a fuel tank inside of our body, but it's kind of like that shape up there. You got two big chambers that kind of connect to a bigger chamber up above. When fuel comes in, here's how the body uses fuel. You've got fat as a source of fuel. You've got muscle and bone as a source of fuel. You've got what's called glycogen as a source of fuel. It comes from the foods that you eat that's stored in the muscle, fat, and the bone, and the liver. And then you got your blood sugars. You got the fuel that's floating around in the blood. Now, any overflow beyond what the tank can handle, where do you think that goes? In other words, yeah, what kind of storage? And you may have said that and I just didn't hear it. If we eat more than the tank holds, it goes to, yeah, fat storage. We also have another little kind of overflow there that's the top of the blood sugars. That's kind of like the cream of the crop, literally. So whatever foods that you eat, the junkiest foods that you eat. So let's say you eat a super healthy meal. Yeah, it's salad, a little bit of roast beef, maybe like a wild rice or a brown rice to go along with it, and you drink nothing but ionized water. Right, Richard? Yeah. But then dessert came, and there was just this gigantic piece of cheesecake. You just had to have it. That cheesecake goes in, and it all gets mixed together through digestion and goes into your blood sugar. The junkiest part of the blood sugar has a little overflow as well that will drip into an area that's like a factory. And what kind of factory do you think that is? Did you say fat? Was that you, April? No? It came out from somewhere, or maybe I'm just thinking, did you say it right? Fat factory, yeah. Any overflow is going to go into the fat factory. The cream of the crop, the junk foods that we eat will be straight cut off the top of the blood sugars, go into the fat factory. Okay, here's what I want to show you. The very first source of energy that gets burned up when we're exercising or when we're just active, it comes out, follow that path of arrows, goes right from the blood sugars. First source of energy is the blood sugars. Second source, I want you to look to the left where it says glycogen, the green area. Bam, that's the next source of energy where the body pulls from, is glycogen. That's your long-term energy storage that's inside your muscles and in your bones. Now you also have fat and muscle and bone. And you get a source of energy out of those as well. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure we target the fat and leave the muscle and bone alone. And how we do that, there's a valve. See where those two channels come together? There's a valve right there controlled by a switch. That switch depends on the activity that you do and the consistency of your nutrition, what you eat. And it will switch the valve over from either muscle and bone or over to fat. The switch goes one way or the other. It very rarely takes both at the same time. We want to teach you how to target the fat, preserve the muscle and bone. I'll tell you this, we're going to talk about how to target the fat in upcoming workshops, but I'll tell you some of the things that make it switch over to muscle and bone. Here's one of them, overtraining. You can very easily switch to muscle and bone. Undereating, very easily switch to muscle and bone. If you don't eat enough or you skip meals, your fuel tank switches over to muscle and bone. All has to do with blood sugars, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. This will make more sense as we come along. We want to target fat, right? Everybody say target fat.
Target fat.
I agree. Okay, blood sugars. I want you to look at this, and the top of the black and the bottom of the black represent sort of a range where your blood sugars can go. If you go above the top of the black, your body will just shut down because you spiked your sugars too high, and it will literally you'll just pass out. If you go below the black, same thing. If you go into such a crash, this is what happens, is really common with diabetics when they crash. They're going to insulin shock, and some of them will even have a seizure, they'll seize up. That's because they crash so low. What we want to do, that little purple area with that red line in between, that I want to call homeostasis. Homeostasis is another word for balance. There's different types of balance inside the body. We're talking about blood sugar balance right now. What that means is over time, as you eat food, whenever you have to put something in your mouth, you eat it, your enzymes work on it, your digestion kicks in, and it's going to spike your blood sugars to a certain level. And then it's going to balance back out and come back down. Now ideally, this is where you want to stay. See that little wave going across there? You want to stay right in that little sweet spot, because that sweet spot is what's called beta oxidation. That's when you're primed for fat burning. When you wake up in the morning, this is where everybody's at. If you eat sugary stuff, you come out of that. We'll talk about that right now. So, if, let's say, you wake up, you're rushed to get to work, but you have enough time for a quick bowl of cereal, and the only things that left is the Lucky Charms that the kids didn't finish off, and so pour it in the bowl, pour some milk in it, and you just down the Lucky Charms. Then you notice on the way out the door, oh, there's a Rice Krispie treat left, so you grab that too. Right? You didn't make them, a friend brought them over, right? Yeah, nobody eats Rice Krispie treats here. Didn't hit the right one, Jane.